Welcome to Cigar Time. We're still ever so friendly. We're so friendly. It's unbelievable.
That's why Mike does the countdown. So you.
We're good. We're going. We're shooting. You know, I don't miss too many beats. Right?
People love that it's so natural. You know what I mean? That's a good thing.
It's unscripted.
Absolutely.
There's no script. There's no rehearsal. There's no nada. You know, this is a show where the cigars and their owners are the stars. We're just supporting cast here, right?
I called Seinfeld a show about nothing.
Yeah, basically.
That ran forever.
Bunch of friends, right?
9 years.
Yeah, it was the whole idea of the show.
Yeah. Well, we're very pleased to have Nick Perdomo back, the owner and CEO of Perdomo Cigars, which you've all, I'm sure, smoked over the years, and hopefully keep smoking them and buy some more of them. We need the money. Although it's summertime, stay home. Please come in.
Are you done?
Are you done? I'm having a good time. I got no sleep last night.
Keep going. What's in there? Don't let us stop you.
I don't know. It's fumes are coming out.
Yeah.
So let's light up.
Okay.
Let's light up. What are we smoking here?
We're smoking the Perdomo Champagne. These are the Epicure size that we are smoking right now. This is a 6x56?
6x54 that.
54, okay. And the other one was 56.
56, the 20th anniversary, yeah.
Is this, of the higher end model, is this your best selling model?
Yeah, this is the Coca-Cola of Perdomo right here. We sell quite a bit of them, and it's really the workhorse for the company. It was really probably the first Nicaraguan cigar that ever came out with a really fine aged Connecticut shade wrapper.
I love that blend.
And everybody said you can't do it because the fillers would overpower the wrappers. And if you allow me, I'll tell you how we came out with it.
Please. Sure. Show.
So in 2000, when my father was alive, he called me up, and we had a brand called Cuban Parejo that just come out. Yeah. And my father said, what are we going to do with all this Connecticut shade wrapper? Because I was never a fan of it initially. I always called it grapefruit. I always found it to be tart. And there was a reason for that. I learned on that. So when I got in the industry in 1992, the only thing you could really buy back then was Connecticut shade wrappers. You could buy some Indonesian wrappers. I wasn't a fan of them. Sumatra seed wrappers from Ecuador, which is what I was always purchasing at the time before I started growing tobacco. And my father said, what are we going to do with all this Connecticut shade wrapper? And I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, we have 100, and I think it was 183 boxes at the time, because I would buy 12 boxes from Windsor Shade, and I'd buy 12 boxes from ASP Enterprises in Ecuador, who's my grower.
Well, those 100 kilo boxes?
They were 100 kilo boxes, and you can imagine each box makes approximately 60,000 cigars. So if you take 60,000 cigars, you multiply them by 183. And
it's a lot.
Tobacco terminology, it's a shitload of cigars. So
can't say that on television.
So
we know what you meant.
So I said, Dad, the truth of the matter is I really don't like it. He said, but you should take a look at these. They're not yellow. They're kind of like a butterscotch honey color, and I think it's because of the time we've had on the wrappers. So I said, well, roll some cigars up and use that Cuban Parejo blend and tell me what you think of it. So my dad called me up and said, it's creamy. It's got some spice. It's got like an almond taste. I love it. So initially I thought, I don't know. So my dad was coming up from Nicaragua on that Friday, and we started, smoking the cigars, and I was really utterly shocked. So I called a famous manufacturer at the time who produced more Connecticut wrapped cigars than anybody, and I asked him, why these cigars were like that. And he said, man, it's the best tobacco in the world, but what do we do when we get to Connecticut wrapper because it's so expensive? It comes from the curing barns, we give it one sweat, and we roll cigars. It's raw, pretty much. That's why it's bitter. And you're lucky because you have well-aged tobacco, but you got to understand, when you're aging these tobaccos, you have shrinkage, and it costs you more money. So you don't, nobody really has to afford that luxury. So it wasn't because of my infinite wisdom. It's just I always kept it away because I said, you have blue mold or black shank back in those days where viruses would stop you from using different types of wrappers. We decided, I said, wow, it really is fantastic. And I wanted to make this medium to full-bodied blend at the time with a Connecticut shade wrapper. So we came up with this blend from the Jalapa Valley, and at the time just in Esteli, and we came out with this brand. And I'm thinking about what we're going to name the brand, and my dad is looking, he goes, this is so clean and so smooth. This, in my opinion, is the champagne of wrappers. That's how I find it crisp, smooth, and everything. So hence, that's how we came out with it. We called it Perdomo Reserve Champagne. it says 10-year anniversary because when we hit the 10-year, we did it, but the cigar's actually been out almost 20 years today.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique cigar because Connecticut has got a real revamp in the United States. It's over 80% of the market, and people that like a real rich and smooth cigar really can gravitate to this cigar because it kind of hits all the gamuts. And one of the things that's great for the retailer is if you give them certain cigars, I'm not going to name which they are, but some that, it's like turning your freezer on and you blow out smoke. They really don't have much flavor. If you sell that guy that particular type of cigar, you kind of pigeonhole that consumer because everything now becomes too much power for him. But because the dress is pretty, people assume that it's really mild, but this is not a real mild cigar because it has Nicaraguan fillers and binders. So if someone recommends a cigar, like for example Marianne, that guy can pretty much smoke anything in your humidor. So this is really the workhorse, not only for us, but also for the retailer. And the consumer loves it. It's a brand that keeps growing. And since its inception, we just did a thing earlier, I said in the last show, we've sold over 39 million of these cigars.
Yeah.
And it keeps growing. So we're really happy with the growth of it. And it's a very unique cigar because it's tame, but at the same token it has a lot of flavor. And it's real easy going. It goes as well with red wine as it does with coffee or a single malt scotch. So you can really go across the border. And one thing I learned is that if you really ferment any tobacco really well, you're going to get the cusp and the flavor of that tobacco. And basically with a good Connecticut seed wrapper grown in Ecuador because of the cloud cover, you're going to have a more stretchy, more thicker wrapper with more oils. And when you age these cigars, you'll see they don't have that egg yolk color. They have kind of that butter honey-scotch color, and I think it imparts a lot of those flavors. So we've been really happy with it, and it continues to sell. And now we have it in the new humidified bags, and it's really our workhorse. We're really happy with it, and still to this day, we buy 3 or 4 containers of this wrapper, but we're still using wrappers that are 60 months old because of our inventories.
Wow.
And a lot of guys have been on our factory tour saying, my God, I've never seen so much Connecticut seed wrapper in my life. And the reason is because it's a powerhouse for us, because not only do we use it for champagne, but we use Connecticut shade wrappers for Habano, 20th anniversary, all our brands, because all our brands usually have 3 wrappers to impart 3 different types of flavors, but this is the workhorse of the company. It really is, and people really love it, and it just continues climbing, so I'm really thankful for that brand. Someone asked me how powerful the brand is. I said I put both my kids through college with it, so you guys who've paid for your kids' college tuition,
Paid for a couple weddings
yeah,
too along the way.
It probably has. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's good, and the retailers love it because it works. It really does. It hits all the gamuts. Yeah.
Well, as a retailer, what I appreciate, you have your sales reps merchandise it in the stores throughout the country, and the way the shelf talker, which is the little flap that sticks out of the front of the box, and the way the vertical displays, and I'm sure most humidors are, it's easy to see. The presentation is first rate. The shelf talker, sells the cigar exactly what's in it, identifies the characteristics and so forth and so on. And it makes it a little easier as retailers to sell the product. And the one thing, I don't think we covered last week, but the one thing that really sticks out about Nick and his company, when the government raised the taxes from 4.7 cents a cigar to 40.26 cents a cigar, Nick ate it. You ate it for a long time, if I recall correctly.
Still do.
Even
in calendar year 2019, when we started, we said we're going to eat S-chip again, and we've been eating it for the last, it's going to be 11 years.
That's a lot of money.
It's a tremendous amount of money, but in reality, we took a direction where we said market share was more important than gross margin. And a lot of bean counters don't understand that.
You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, you got to build your portfolio, and the consumer appreciates what you do.
Yes.
And it's our cigars are very affordable because we are a real manufacturer that actually
You're vertically
does
integrated.
this, completely vertically integrated. And a lot of the cigars you buy, as we know, and you've mentioned before, you're buying it from middlemen and so on. And you're paying a lot of excess, so you get what you pay for. In a lot of instances, is true. And cigars sometimes not. You know what I mean? I make a lot of cigars. I've made cigars for different people, and I've seen the pricing that some of the guys have, and listen, there's no lie. It's got my last name on it. I'm going to put the best in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've seen stuff that I've made for people, and you get taken aback sometimes how much it costs. But I understand they have a lot of expense. So, so don't if you really love a cigar, don't gauge it on how much it costs necessarily. Gauge it on what you like and what you enjoy. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does.
That's the way it should be rated too.
No, we disagree there.
Yes,
Well,
we do.
wait a minute. The price, as I have often described on the show over the years, is important, but not
It's
as important, not
Not when
as
you rate the
important
cigar.
as the quality, construction, draw, and of course taste. But to me, in my personal opinion, price has something to do.
It doesn't.
No,
But
because
we'll disagree. We'll disagree.
not
Nick's here to talk
not
back to
everybody
Nick.
can afford on a regular basis to smoke a $12 or $15 cigar.
Right.
They can smoke those occasionally, but this is a cigar. The price points are in the.
$7, $8.
$7, $8.
My God, that's incredible. I mean, that truly is incredible when you think what's out on the marketplace.
Right.
When you really think what's out in the marketplace, this is a steal.
Our average cigar retails at about $7.33.
There you go.
Which I think is pretty reasonable.
Absolutely.
When you consider the sweet spot today is probably around 8 1/4.
Yeah.
So we're below it, but again, vertical integration, doing it yourself, and my dad always said, and I think you're a believer of it too, Art. It's better to make a quick nickel than a slow dime, and we want our people to enjoy our products, not have to reach so much to be able to smoke it. So I think we give a great product at a great price.
And Nick Cigars points out directly my point. He gives you a top-notch, high-quality, uber premium, I would call it, for a modest price.
Right.
That's important.
It is.
To me. It's
Well,
one part of the equation.
He also has something that's going to meet every pocketbook, from the Fresco all the way up to in addition to Silvio.
As we talked
Right,
about.
exactly.
So
yeah.
I mean, majority of them are in that $8 range, but that's a lot to somebody, and he has something for that person.
Right. You have something for people who can't smoke.
and it's still a fantastic
right.
cigar.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you've got, the less expensive cigars to complement the line, because not everybody can afford an $8 or $9 cigar. But in what I call the uber premium, which it clearly is to me, uber premium doesn't mean it's real expensive.
Right.
Uber premium means quality to me more than expense.
I agree.
And when you can couple an uber premium cigar with a modest price, that's the best of all worlds.
Yes.
That's why the price is important to me.
The price is important.
It's part of the equation.
That's not part of the rating.
It's your opinion. What do you know?
Exactly.
Exactly. You agree, Scott, right?
No,
But you agree.
I
Well,
was
what
a
does he know?
yes, but I was the first one to disagree with you on the price.
You were. But look, young amateurs have their place
Yeah.
too. They're entitled to their opinion. All right, let's give it our first review.
First off, I love the blend of Connecticut with Nicaraguan filler and binder.
Absolutely.
It just does something. What surprises me is the spice from this, given that type of wrapper. It's not overpowering spicy, but there's a little bit of spice there, but it's still got that creaminess, the smoothness.
Do you know where that spice comes from? From the wrapper, believe it or not. I can bring you into a casing area where we're casing or wetting wrappers, and I can bring you into the Connecticut section, and your nose will tingle when you can actually smell the spice, and people are shocked when
Is
we
that
bring
because you
them in.
age it so long?
It's because of the aging process, because when you ferment tobacco well, that's where you bring the properties of the tobacco out. If you have raw tobacco, it doesn't have any characteristics.
Right.
It's, if you smell raw tobacco from jalapa, it smells like honey wheat bread, but that's not what we want, because you're really not capturing what the tobacco can give you. There's a lot more sweetness, and that evolves during the fermentation. And because Connecticut's so expensive, and because it burns, you still shouldn't use it raw, because if it's raw, it becomes bitter, and it tastes like grapefruit. The only difference is if you use heavier seed like Cuban seed, it won't burn if it's raw. This burns green.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you still shouldn't follow the process. And the process is from the curing bar and fermentation till it doesn't build any heat, then it goes into aging, so you can marry those flavors into one, and then you roll cigars with it, and then you re-age them again together with all the cigars, or all the products, all the properties, filler, binder, wrapper, so they can all marry into one. No matter what cigar you make, you have to follow the complete process. You can't shortcut it because it's expensive. People tell me, well, you lose 10% of weight every year. I still produce 30,000 cigars on a 100-pound box. Now, if I produce 30,000 cigars that people like, I can keep moving.
Buy more tobacco.
If I start cutting corners where people don't like it or something, those 30,000 cigars aren't going to sell like they are. And
Right.
you're as good as your last cigar, right? So,
Yeah.
That's so true.
so you got to make sure that it's completely fermented. And Marianne, for example, has been to our facility, and she's seen what we do. We're anal about it, but the truth of the matter is, I think, we have an old saying in Spanish that says, quality is the respect for our people. And what that means in English basically is you do quality because you respect your consumer.
Right.
And it's a mindset that we have in our facility because we want to make sure the products are as perfect as possible because you paid for it. And then, then you're right. Whether you pay $8 or $5 or $20, you want to say, hey, man, I got my money's worth.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
what you want. I mean, really,
Absolutely.
Were you done your initial review?
Sure.
Marianne?
To me, this is just buttery and creamy. I'm not getting as much spice as Scott, but that's typical. We never agree. We never do. But it's delicious. It's absolutely a perfect cigar for morning or afternoon for me, and maybe to end the evening, even.
Yeah, this is a cigar I smoke in the evening a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Especially
the end of the
coffee.
day.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great,
Perfect
absolutely
cigar.
great
Perfect.
nighttime
Rob?
smoke.
There's not much more I can say. I mean, it's a well, if it was Cameroon, it'd be perfect, but it's a perfect
You
Connecticut
prejudiced to
cigar.
Cameroon.
Me too.
It's a perfect Connecticut cigar. It really is, like you said, with the Connecticut wrapper
Love that blend.
and the Nicaraguan and filler and binder. It's awesome. And it's very creamy, and and the creaminess stays with you on your tongue.
It definitely
It
does.
really is good. I love the taste of the
You
cigar.
know what I'm getting out of this? And it was a power of suggestion almost. Somebody mentioned almond. I think it might have been you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tasting the almond now, now that you mention it. I'm certainly getting that creamy. I'm also getting a nice sweet finish. It's pleasant on the tongue. It's pleasant on the front
Yeah.
teeth. I mean, it just coats the mouth very pleasantly, and it's a great taste. I go for taste. Strength to me is incidental.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree,
with that too.
Yeah, taste is everything. You're smoking it for the
It's
taste.
taste.
It's
yeah.
a medium strength but full body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you hit it right on the head. I can make a cigar make your eyes water.
of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can use under fermented Ligeros, which are strength
Yeah,
tobaccos.
it'll
but
kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not what smoking's all about.
no,
A lot of
no.
people are using heavy Pennsylvania Riversucker L316
Yeah.
tobaccos with 9% nicotine.
Oh,
That's not what cigar smoking's about. It's the difference between you can drink MD 2020, you can drink a Macallan 18. The MD 2020 might be wow, it's powerful, but it's really not because it's not fermented completely like it
Right.
should. You should taste smooth and you should taste flavor. I don't know what you said, Scott.
Flavors everything.
Yeah.
Very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Now you mentioned something, and I think Marianne, you were on one of the factory tours, and it looks to me like next January or February we're going to be running a Cigars factory tour down to the Perdomo farm, and your host will be beside Nick and his family and his people down there. Several of our people will go along. So here's your chance to travel with the stars from Cigar Time.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
And we'll have more details later in the year. And I have not gone on a tour, and I may go on this tour. I mean, I'm threatening
Don't
to
let
do
that dissuade you, though.
Yeah, please don't let that
Don't stay away
dissuade you.
because of that.
Nick and Marianne can tell you more about the tour because I think, I've gone on tours and I've seen various factories throughout the world, and it's fascinating. And I think the price is very modest for what, all that it entails. And I think it'll be a wonderful time. And to be able to travel with some of our people from Cigars, I think will even add to the excitement and enjoyment. Marianne, why don't you, before Nick kind of finish it, why don't you talk about your experiences on the tour?
It was an amazing trip. It was probably my best vacation ever. But we went, it's my kind of vacation. We literally learned what it's like to sort seeds all the way through the box process. So there's nothing you won't learn on this tour. And you just feel the passion for cigars when you're there. You learn things that you've never learned before and how much time and effort goes into making each one of these. It's just fascinating. And if you are at all interested in the cigar industry, I recommend highly coming along.
Thank you. The thing is, we always would bring just retailers. And we decided about 10 years ago to bring consumers, and the consumers, of course, are the most important when you really think about it. But
Yeah, for sure.
what we would see at night when we're sitting out in rocking chairs smoking cigars is what the consumer sees and he would tell the retailer what he likes and what he dislikes on his, whether it be shopping or in the lounge and stuff. And the consumer is coincide together with the retailer, I think really is a great combination. And we've changed a lot of things. Not only, it's kind of like a university, you know, it's if you're looking just to party, it's the wrong trip. We have a lot of fun in the evenings, but it's about learning. If you're going to take that long trek to Nicaragua, you should get your money's worth, and you can drink any wherever you live it. That's not really the most important thing.
No.
So, but we do a whole merchandising thing. We do a thing that we did with Google, and we do it together with the consumers and the retailers. And it's incredible how the consumer gets involved in these discussions. We have like this classroom thing. I don't want to tell too much about it, but some of the retailers freak out when they say, we had a retailer and he said, my shop's the best, and you know, my customer service is fantastic, and the guy next to him who was his best customer, I said, what do you think of his store? He said, I think his store sucks. He said, the only reason I go to his store is because it's the closest. But you do this, you do this, you do this,
Of course, none of you at home think that about us.
Yeah.
And everything from LED lighting your stores and increasing your business because of LED lighting to make it the ease of shopping for the actual consumer. And you know, we do everything because we're completely vertically integrated. Like Marianne said, you go from seed, you go out into the farms. We're involving everybody now where they're actually involved in the process. Whether, you know, a lot of times we'll let them pick tobacco. We'll let them go up into the curing barns and show them how it's done. We go into fermentation. We do blending and tasting where we actually blindfold the people where they can do their sense of smell and their sense of taste, just like we do. We got some of the greatest coffee in the world in Nicaragua. That's how we clean our palates, and it's a real educational trip. It's a lot of fun, and basically it's airfare, $460. That covers your transportation, your hotel stay in Esteli, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The food's fantastic. I'm sure she'll attest to that. And it actually cost us $469, but I can't charge people $469, so I leave it at $469. And everybody gets about 7 or 8 cigars a day to smoke, different types of cigars, and they'll get actually fresh cigars from the rolling room, so they can actually taste those. And it's very thorough. We're not just, hey, this is a cigar room. We go down, we show you the good, bad, and the ugly. Draw testing, anything you can think of, we show you. There's 3,054 steps to make our cigars. In 3 days, we show you all 3,054 steps visually, and you learn a ton.
How long is the trip?
The trip, you either come in Saturday and you leave Wednesday, or you come in Tuesday and you leave Saturday. So the guys who come in Tuesday and leave Saturday, the next trip comes in Saturday and leaves Wednesday, and the guys are on Tuesday. So it's just perpetual. It's nonstop. And this year we did it just in the month of February. We had 430 people come.
Wow.
We normally have in excess of 500. We cut this one short for a month because I want to show you everything. And what happened was we expanded about 146 acres more of ground. So if we started in January, people would have been missing the first pickings, and they wouldn't have seen the curing barns. And I want you to see every single thing. So we're looking at the 3rd week of January 2020 all the way through February, maybe even into March like we normally do. Yeah.
And how many people typically come on a trip?
Usually we cut them off. I've had 45 per trip, so I do 45, 45, 45, and this year I did 30, 30, 30. It's a little more manageable. And there's 2 of us. Either it's me and Nelson Cuba, our director of operations, or it's Arthur Kemper or Ralph Valdez, who's one of our territory managers. That'll do
Juan Valdez's brother?
He's Juan Valdez.
That's where the coffee comes from?
No, but I'll tell you a funny story. I was on a trip to Nicaragua on a Colombian airline, and Juan Valdez, the actual guy, they brought him on, and he actually poured me coffee, and it was a commercial.
Was the coffee good?
Not as good as Nicaraguan coffee, but he had the strap and the hat.
Really?
And
The whole thing.
He served. Yeah, my wife took the picture, but it was actually him, the guy on the TV.
That's fantastic.
So I can say that I met Juan Valdez.
That's funny. I didn't actually believe that he was a real person.
I didn't either, but
He's an actor, but he was the actual actor on the airplane, so it was pretty
funny.
cool. Yeah, it was.
Now that's hilarious. But we're looking
The
forward
funny
to
thing
it.
is he's from Canada.
He really is.
No.
What a Canadian coffee. Canada's known for the great coffee.
oh yeah.
But you get to see the process, the barrel aging. You see how champagne's made. You get to see the different rollers, and we interact with all our technicians. So in the evenings, the technicians come and they hang out and they have dinner with everybody. And you really see the passion of these workers. And everybody just has a phenomenal time. And I've really never met many bad cigar smokers. I think we've had 4,700 and change come on the tour since we've done it, and I can count on my hands guys that didn't
Pain in
behave
the butts.
well. Yeah, but very few. And
That's going to happen when you get that many
yeah,
people together.
but I mean, literally, if you can do that, almost 5,000 people, and you can count them just on a finger in one hand,
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
pretty good. And most cigar smokers we know are great people.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Occasionally you'll get one that will tell you how to do your business better.
Oh, yeah, sure, sure. It's nice when you have the 26-year-old kid when you're doing an event, he's telling you how much a cigar should cost.
Yeah,
He
right.
has no idea what it takes.
Well, yeah, 3,000 processes. Yeah, good luck.
One thing that people do realize on this tour is they don't understand how a cigar doesn't cost $50 when they see how
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
work it
Goes
takes
into
Right.
it. Yeah.
to make one of
Yes,
our
absolutely.
cigars,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And we don't outsource anything. We make everything from our cellophane tubes to our staples. We make
Wow.
our own emulsions, our paints, our own silk screens. We have our own, we do everything. I mean, literally, there's nothing that we don't do except make the bands and the inserts and the artwork and stuff like that.
And
that we-
even those, you do first class in Europe.
yeah, we do this in Europe, and we think our guys at Rydeg do the very best job on that. But I think a box of cigars is special, and I think packaging is special. And I've always said that our cigars have always been better in our packaging, and I wanted to make our packaging just as good as our cigars because box of cigars is special, and I think we've hit that.
We're going to have just enough time for the final review.
No change as far as the little tiny bit of spice, very smooth and creamy. Love that blend, another 9.5.
Oh boy,
No,
you put Rod right in the box.
no, it's one of my favorite cigars. It really is. Connecticut Shade Wrappers. It's creamy, it's buttery, it's smooth, but it has just enough strength to keep me wanting more of it. It's a great cigar. 976.
Used to be in that business.
976.
Marianne?
Oh, it's
Can
one of
be
my
the
favorite
975.
cigars. It's, like I said, it's creamy, it's buttery, same thing that everybody's saying. Definitely has a lot of flavor, so don't be afraid it's going to be too mild for you. It's certainly not.
Yes.
And for me, it's a 975 every day.
Okay, I'm going to go out of the box a little bit on this.
No.
Uh-oh. I hear it coming. Gad.
I smoke one of these on occasion because there's so many cigars we have to smoke. And remember, we smoke them oftentimes so you don't have to.
Yeah.
People may not realize that. This cigar just, I don't know what more I can add to what they've said in the superlatives. It is a great cigar. And because of the price, because again, those of you who watched
977.
over the years, you know that's important. This is a 10.
Told you. I knew it was coming.
And
Wow.
how many 10s have we given out over the years?
I've given one out.
This might have been my second one.
I don't know if I ever have.
You may not have ever given a 10, but this is a perfect cigar. I mean, it's a great cigar. It'll please each taste. If you like a little stronger cigar, it's on a decent side of medium. If you like a mild cigar, this won't kill you at all by any stretch of the imagination. It's a great cigar. Don't forget our Saturday night show at 8 o'clock.
On Saturday?
And on Saturday, yeah, it's still on Saturday.
Yeah, you got 2
we want to
seconds.
thank you. We want to thank
Thanks,
Nick. and we'll
Nick.
see you
Bye.
next week.
Take
Ciao
care.
for now,
Smoke cheap
everybody.
cigars.